If you asked me what consumed my life in the last quarter of 2016, the answer is simple: Magic the Gathering. In these short months, I've caught up on the amazing history of this long-lasting, beloved game. It's had its ups and downs, however, from the many cards printed, there are some that stand out to having immense value. If you've seen other lists, they mostly consist of the Power 9 cards, which are common knowledge at this point. We've avoided making this list just that. So, here's a fun list of the 10 most rarest and valuable Magic the Gathering cards. TIMETWISTER is part of the Power 9, the 9 rarest and most powerful cards printed in the alpha, beta, and unlimited runs of Magic. These are cards so powerful they even have their own Wikipedia page. Of the 9 cards, TIMETWISTER is the only one that's legal in a format other than Vintage, so those who enjoy casual Commander, this card is for you. What this card effectively does is give both you and your opponent a reset. Leaving the cards on the field, you both shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library, then draw a new hand. Why is that helpful? Well, if you know your opponent has some tricksy spells, this gets rid of them. If your best monster is in the graveyard, this lets you draw them again. And if your opponent has a monster that's kicking your butt, send it back to their hand and play this card. Chances are, it'll end up nice and snug somewhere near the bottom of their deck. As this card is so balanced, well, compared to the other Power 9, it has a relatively low price. It'll only run you $2,000 to add to your deck. I have to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what makes the cost of this card so high. At its lowest, it's $3,000, so it doesn't come cheap. But dual land cards like this, which give you 2 types of mana in one, aren't terribly uncommon in Magic. Its value is likely threefold. First, it's part of the Alpha set, the earliest run of Magic the Gathering cards. Second, if you think dual lands are useful now, you'd be amazed how useful they were when this set came out. The game then was far less balanced, so cards like these were very powerful. And third, this dual land doesn't have restrictions, whereas most dual lands cards nowadays do. No matter what I think, this card will still run you upwards of $3,000 to acquire. With the spellcast, you and your opponent descend through a portal of time. When you emerge on the other end, your opponent can't move. You, however, can. Time Walk is a card that allows the user to take an extra turn. While this might not sound too powerful to casual fans, 2 turns is all it takes to decimate your enemies in Magic. Is your opponent completely defenseless, no mana left at their disposal, only have 5 life left? Funny that, you happen to have a creature who deals 5 damage in your hand. Time Walk lets you cast that creature, skip your opponent's turn, and immediately attack them for the last 5 points of their life. Without mana, they can't defend themselves. In a single turn, what was once an even match has become a curb stomp. Time Walk is quite powerful, worthy of its place in the Power 9, and its $3,500 price tag. Ancestral Recall seems like a fairly simple card. Draw 3 cards, or cause your opponent to draw 3. Easy, simple, no big deal. Except that if your opponent runs out of cards, you win the game. Not only that, but drawing cards is a huge benefit in Magic. By drawing cards, you strengthen your arsenal, summoning your best monsters faster and defending yourself with whatever you need. For 1 mana, this card is insanely powerful, and it's surprisingly flexible. You can choose either option depending on how the game's going. It's a win-win, and it's no surprise this card is part of the Power 9. No surprise it costs $4,000 either. Hurricane is a member of the So Rare It's Mythical Summer Magic set, but more on that in a bit. Because what really makes Hurricane valuable is that it's a misprint. For any card game worth its salt, there's a subsect of card collectors who enjoy collecting misprints, cards cut improperly, or that feature incorrect images, text mistakes, and so on. Hurricane, as you can see, is a blue card. However, see the little green tree in the top? This card should be green. As far as Summer Magic goes, Hurricane is one of the easier cards to find. There's 30 in existence. You have better odds of getting your hands on this card than some, if you can handle the 4,000 to 5,000 price tag, that is. Imagine you're playing a game of Magic. You know the rules, 1 land per turn. You lay out a land and end your turn. Your opponent, however, grins at you. She pulls out 5 cards from her hand and plays them all at once. Leaning forward, you recognize them. Sapphire, Jet, Ruby, Emerald and Pearl, the MOXEN jewels. She has just, in effect, played 5 land cards in a single turn. In other words, you are in big trouble. The MOXEN are essentially land cards that can be played at no cost. One of these cards effectively bumps you up to your second turn, while your opponent stays at their first. Before there was a limit on how these cards were played, they'd simply shift the game in the owner's favour. Alpha mint copies of Mox Jet, Mox Emerald, Mox Ruby, Mox Pearl and Mox Sapphire sell for between $5,000 and $8,000. They make up 5 of the Power 9 and a part of every collector's dream. The Summer of Magic set, also called the Edgar set, is a collection of highly legendary Magic cards only printed in the summer of 1994. Apparently there were troubles with the set printed the year before, so the Magic team decided to go with a new manufacturer. Unfortunately, the new manufacturer bungled it even worse than the original. As legend has it, the bungled set was gathered at Wizards of the Coast headquarters and set on fire, but not before employees took whatever cards they wanted from the pile. As a result, very few copies of Summer Magic cards survive to this day. So few, collectors are advised against ever purchasing a complete set. The man who came closest gave up after a decade of collecting. SERENDIB EFREET is apparently the most valuable of that set, with only 10 known copies in the world. The last recorded sale of this card was for $7,000. Some places list it now as $10,000. But who knows, maybe someday, one lucky collector will complete this legendary set. Declared by Wizards of the Coast as the rarest Magic card in existence, 1996 World Champion was given to the winner of the first ever World Tournament of Magic. Although more than one card was made, all other copies were ceremoniously destroyed, along with the printing plate. The winner of the card was Tom Chanfing from Australia. The card is fairly overpowered, possessing the power and toughness of both players' combined life. It can be called into hand at any point in time and can't be targeted by spells or effects. This overpowering was likely intentional. The card is trapped within the 1996 trophy. It's therefore unable to be placed in a deck. It's illegal in every format anyways. The card was sold to a private collector in 2001 for $17,500. Now that's a worthwhile trophy. Many longtime Magic fans knows the legend of the Black Lotus. Roughly 1,000 copies of it exist. Another of the Power 9 cards. It's a card so powerful, mint condition copies have sold for $30,000. Used copies, however, sell for the much more tolerable price of around $1,600. Why is it so powerful? Well, remember the MOXEN cards? The collection of jewelry that can decimate your foes? Yeah, the Black Lotus is like those cards, times 3, of any colour you want. For no cost, you gain 3 free mana of any colour, essentially opening an unlimited arsenal for whatever cards you so choose. The creators have acknowledged the awesome power of the Black Lotus by creating a version for their unglued joke set, the Blacker Lotus. While essentially the same card, the Blacker Lotus gives 4 mana instead of 3, and to play it, you have to rip it to shreds. Clearly, the people at Wizards of the Coast have a great sense of humour. And remember that 30,000 price tag? According to neostore.com, an autographed copy of a mint condition Alpha Black Lotus was ostensibly sold to a customer in Dubai for $125,000. $125,000. That claim is hard to verify, so we're not counting that for this list, but if it's true, damn. What card then has more terrifying power and value than the Black Lotus? It's a card so rare, nobody even knows what it looks like. When creator of Magic the Gathering, Richard Garfield, proposed to his girlfriend, he did so with a special card. He put the card called Proposal into his deck and challenged his then girlfriend to a match. After several losses on his part, the card finally came up in his hand. For 4 white mana, he cast Proposal, which fused their decks and lives together. They both won the game. The few remaining copies of Proposal were given out to select family, the card's artist Quinton Hoover and Dave Howell, the man who physically produced it. At Garfield's wife's request, this card's image has never been released to the public. Images have appeared claiming to be the real one, but have been refuted. Howell was, at one point, offered money for his card. It was so much money, he immediately locked the card away in a safe, where he still keeps it. Although he never specified how much he was offered, he says on his website, "While Proposal isn't the rarest Magic card, I can safely say it's the most valuable." Perhaps most adorably, several Magic fans have followed suit, creating customized Proposal cards of their own, which you can see here. With the power to join lives even outside the game, Proposal is our most valuable Magic card. If you enjoyed this week's list, leave a like, it really helps out. And if you want to see more fun lists, click here for my top 10 rarest Pokemon cards, or here for my top 10 games within games.